The following program is brought to you by Podcast One Sportsnet.
Hi, I'm Aubrey Marcus, CEO of Onnit.com. At Onnit, we've revolutionized the health and fitness industry with our unique and effective line of earth-grown supplements and foods aimed at helping you achieve total human optimization. Today, I want to tell you about a product that has truly changed my life for the better, New Mood. New Mood is an effective daily stress supplement made with earth-grown nutrients designed to help you relax and help your body maintain an optimal mood balance. Great for unwinding after a long day and helping to ease ordinary stress. New Mood works by combining the two raw building blocks of important neurotransmitters, L-tryptophan and 5-HTP, to help the body maintain a state of peaceful calm. Safe for daily use, New Mood is ideal when you are under stress, down in the dumps, or just need some refreshing sleep. Thousands of people worldwide are already enjoying the relaxing effects of New Mood on a daily basis. And right now, as a special offer, we're giving you the opportunity to try New Mood totally free. Just pay shipping and handling, and we'll send you out a free 30-count bottle of New Mood right away. Simple as that. We're only able to offer a limited amount of free bottles per day, so get your free bottle of New Mood now. Go to onnit.com/trial, that's ONNIT.com/trial, to pick up your first bottle on us after shipping and handling.
The Steve Austin Show Unleashed is sponsored in part this week by DDP Yoga. Now, we talked about it numerous times, but my good friend and WWE Hall of Famer Diamond Dallas Page has something new. You should already know what DDP Yoga has done to help thousands of people all over the world, and that the DDP Yoga Now app lets you get your workouts in wherever you are. But now, Dallas has done it again. This one is going to be huge. I'm pumped to announce a new program in the DDPY lineup, DDPY Rebuild. It's a new variation of the traditional DDPY program catered to those age 55 plus and those with physical limitations. Hey, Dallas is 61 years old. He ain't no spring chicken, and he wanted to help others who were older or with extreme limited mobility not just live, but learn to thrive. The DDPY Rebuild workouts will take you from the bed to the chair, and eventually to standing upright with the support of a chair. The DDPY Rebuild program is the perfect holiday gift for your parents, grandparents, or even your great-grandparents. Help give them an extra boost when it comes to conquering their New Year's resolution. Don't give them another fruit basket. Get them the gift that will help them rebuild their life. Head to ddpyoga.com/rebuild to learn more and pre-order the DDPY Rebuild program. Also, DDPY is having the biggest Black Friday sale ever. 30% off all DVDs, app membership, and apparel on ddpyoga.com. You heard it right, 30% off. They've never had a sale like this one before. There's no better time to take advantage of the DDPY program. DDP Yoga can work for all ages, weights, and fitness levels. It provides a kick-ass cardio workout with minimal joint impact. It'll have you on your way to not only changing your life, but owning your life. Also, heads up, Dallas will be appearing December 8th through the 10th at the Steel City Con in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. This is a huge con in the PA area, and Dallas will be there signing autographs, taking pictures, and talking to the fans. For more information, go to www.diamonddallaspage.com and click on the Appearances tab to get all the info.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. He started in a small town in Texas. Worked his ass off to become one of the most famous wrestlers of all time.
We're going to take care of business tonight, and that's the bottom line.
And now he's dominating the world of on-demand audio. And he's doing it for the working man.
This is a damn good outlet for me to spew the bullshit off my brain.
Yeah! This is Steve Austin Unleashed.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I'm coming to you from the side of the road somewhere in the hill country of Texas on my way to South Texas. I'm headed to visit my family because it is Thanksgiving. Hey, man, anybody that can hear my voice, if you've downloaded this podcast, happy Thanksgiving, motherfuckers. I hope all of you have a safe journey to get to see your family and your friends. Please drive safely, be courteous on the road, and get back home safely so you can get your ass back to work and pay them fucking things they send in the mail they call bills. If you don't pay those bills, they will shut your shit down. So travel safe, everybody. I hope Thanksgiving is good for you. I'm looking forward to seeing all of my family, all of my friends, my in-laws, and all that shit. A couple of them I ain't really happy to see, but, you know, we'll save that for another day. I'm looking forward to getting down there. And because it is Thanksgiving and my bandwidth out here in BFE is the shits, I'm going to keep this open real short and real simple. Brendan SCHAUB, former UFC fighter, is my guest today. This dude was a badass dude, followed his career from when he was on The Ultimate Fighter to his last fight. I saw him on The Ultimate Fighter when he made his debut. He's the host of his own podcast, The Big Brown Breakdown, and he's also the host of another very successful podcast, The Fighter and the Kid, with Brian Callen. Two very successful podcasts. Everybody listens to them. And I tell you what, we're talking MMA, we're talking pro wrestling, we're talking transitions, we're talking a lot of bullshit, and Brendan's a funny cat. And he drops a line towards the end of the podcast. We just got to shut the shit down. We talked for about an hour and a half. But we just stopped talking because he dropped a line, and I just started spitting water on my computer. So anyway, podcast open this week is short. It is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, people. Have a good time. Drive safely. As my old buddy, Ravishing Rick Rude, would say, for fuck's sake, Steve, arrive alive. Be careful out there, folks. Brendan SCHAUB is up in a minute, but first, Onnit customers, get ready. We're going to hit you with the biggest sale of the year this Friday, November 24th at midnight. That's tomorrow. Onnit is turning up its Black Friday sale to 11. Stock up with 25% off supplements, including Alpha Brain, 30% off apparel and gear, unbelievable doorbuster deals like 50% off their Werewolf Legend kettlebell. Oh, hell yeah. If you're already a fan of what Onnit has to offer, or if you're curious, now's the time to check it out and give it a try. Onnit don't mess around, and you won't be disappointed. Head to onnit.com/Black Friday and sign up for the alerts to be one of the first to know and first to shop. That's ONNIT.com/Black Friday to take advantage of the biggest deals of the year.
What's it like for you watching games of your son coaching?
Agonizing.
It's a family affair on Attack Each Day, the Harbaugh's podcast.
You know, I didn't know there was actual work here.
Recent guests include Rich Eisen, Judge Judy, John Harbaugh, and the Sklar brothers.
That was definitely a great moment to tell our parents, hey, we're not going to go to law school. We're just going to go ahead and do a job we could have done out of high school. Thanks for paying for college.
Exclusively on Podcast One Sportsnet. Get episodes every Tuesday at Podcast One and Apple Podcasts.
This is Steve Austin Unleashed.
Hey, man, what do you want to talk about? Anything? Here's the thing about it. No, I'm going to start this podcast right here, right now. I just started rolling the sound. Brendan SCHAUB is sitting across the table from me. Struck up a conversation here, rolling the sound, an ex-MMA fighter and an ex-pro wrestler. Man, I'm a big MMA fan. I know at times in your life you've been a pro wrestling fan.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with our mutual friend, Joe Romero, at Average Joe Art on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
I said, dude, man, Brendan's coming over because I did your show, The Big Brown Breakdown. I had a good time.
Yep.
It was a good, great conversation. And then I've been wanting you to be on my show, and I was looking for a number, and so we started texting. He goes, hey, man, I'm ready to do – you said I'm ready to do your show. And I'm like, yeah, well, I called you a couple times. I just never left a voice message. I thought you was trying to kayfabe me.
No, heck no. Go ghost on Stone Cold? Never.
I didn't know what the deal was. But you know what kayfabe means?
No.
Oh, it means it's like the Steph arm.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
It's cool to have him on my show, but I don't want to be on his show.
No, heck
I'm going to drag
man.
you down into the quagmire today.
No, hell no.
I got a black lab here, Callie. She's 8 months old. She's been a pain in the ass. She done jumped all over Brendan's skinny jeans. He's wearing gray jeans and a white T-shirt. And Callie's ripping him to shreds. Yeah. And Brendan saw me. I said, I got to go in my Stone Cold promo voice and try to get her off of him. And so I cut this promo on her, and about 5 seconds later, she's back on him. So
she loves me, man.
My shit ain't effective
She
no
loves
more.
me, man. Matter of fact, I'm never embarrassed to wear skinny jeans, but wearing them in front of Stone Cold, that might do it, man. Oh, this is great.
Are you a dog lover? Are you
love
pet
dogs?
friendly?
Love dogs. Grew up with dogs. Just got one recently, a Malinois, and a big dog.
Smart dogs. Is it trained for protection?
Yeah.
Hey, man, a long time ago, I hosted a reality show called Tough Enough. It was a reboot. And we had, the kids doing some crazy things. And one of them was, I don't even know what the drill was. But it was, I guess, trying to teach them to not fear the unexpected or whatever it was.
The unknown.
So we turned them loose, run in one direction, then we set the Belgian Malinois after them, and they tackled the shit out of them and started mauling them, and then we pull them off.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're really, really smart dogs. My sister in Texas is married to a cop, and Malinois is what he uses as his dog. And every time we go for Thanksgiving, which we're about to go, Dude, that dog was in the back of that F-150 because when I bring my dogs, they're just Labrador retrievers. They ain't going to stand a chance.
No.
I figured I was going to go out there and kind of make friends with the Malinois because, I'm the dog whisperer. I'm a dog lover, and he will be able to sense this.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch would have torn my
They
head
don't
off.
care, huh? They don't care. They have such high, drive, and it's, you better be ready to go with that dog. I run a lot, so I bring her running, and we do the stairs, and I try to wear that dog out.
So how old is it?
She just turned a year, young. But she came from, proper training.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, dude, when you talk about proper training, my neighbor over there deals in German Shepherds, and
Yes.
obviously he's highly, knowledgeable about the Malinois too. Excuse my pronunciation of some of these words because they throw me.
Yeah, me too.
But, dude, you can drop 20, 30 large plus in the training of the dogs. I'm not trying to get personal, but you got some money in the dog.
Yeah, it's not cheap, man. That dog's, that dog's a good down payment on a Ferrari. But for protection, I have a 20-month-old son, and my girl's there. I'm on the road a lot more, and people are weird. So
People are real weird, man.
people are real. I can't imagine the stuff.
But dude,
you do.
here's the thing. You've been away from, you're in the MMA scene, but
Yeah.
you've been away from the octagon for a while now.
Yeah.
But, if no one was watching the product, you're a good-looking, normal dude.
Yeah.
Tall.
Yeah.
But if somebody didn't figure you had the skills that you got,
Yeah.
does anybody ever try to fuck with you on the street?
Not once, never. And you know why? I think it's guys that have trouble with that are the guys that give that energy off. They're
believe that
the
too.
guys where it's insecurity, and they're in the bars or in the clubs or restaurants, and they're looking for a fight. I'm not. I'm just, I'm easy going. I'm not an aggressive guy. I'm not violent. I don't want any problems. I like to talk to people. So I think it's the energy you put out.
I was always the guy in the bar, man. I'm there to have drinks and have a good time.
Yeah.
And not go total flare mode, which I want to get into.
Yes.
Because he would get over the top and start taking
I
his
can't
clothes
wait.
off. But
I can't wait.
I was the guy because back in the day, I always had a pretty good set of jacks on me, decent arms.
Yeah.
Not bodybuilding arms, but decent arms.
Yeah.
But the kind of arm that some drunk guy from across the bar would just, and the dude weighed about $160, $170, wiry, just kind of that sinewy strength.
Yeah.
And, hey, man, you want to arm wrestle? And it's like, no, dude, I don't want to arm wrestle. And I wouldn't say it like I said, no, man, not really. I said, can I buy you a beer?
Yeah.
He goes, okay, man. But it was always, I never got really into the fight scene or getting guys that wanted to pick fights with me to see how tough Stone Cold was. It was the guys wanting to arm wrestle with me. And I was like, dude, I just don't want to, first of all, I suck at arm wrestling.
Yeah, I'm not great at arm wrestling either.
My roommate in college was a quarterback, and that little son of a bitch, every time we arm wrestled, because he grew up in a bar, his dad taught him how to arm wrestle,
Yeah.
his technique.
It's all technique, right?
And when I'm playing linebacker or running back and my quarterback roommate is smoking me, not good.
No, I'm not good at arm wrestling either. Nor do I want to do it in a bar. You know what doesn't get chicks? Arm wrestling. I'm not doing it, bro. We're not going to arm wrestle here. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, because there's the three hot chicks over in the corner. Okay, I got the winner. You got the loser.
Did you see that big guy just beat him in arm wrestling? No one's trying to do that, man. Come on.
So, have you guys been busy? I know that, with your podcast, Fighter and the Podcast.
Yeah, Fighter and the
Brian,
Kid.
And then
Yep.
Big Brown Breakdown.
Yep.
You guys are touring a lot.
You know what?
Is that fun? Are you having a blast? Are you traveling too much? Because I was talking to Joe.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, man, you ever thought about doing that?
Yeah.
And I said, well, man, no, because I saw so much of the world, back when I did. And where I'm at right now, not so much. I said, I can understand why Brendan is.
Yeah.
Because, man, he's hot and they
Yeah.
got a great act going. And
Yeah.
it seems to be going gangbusters
Yeah.
for you. Are
Yeah.
y'all enjoying it?
I love it. So the way I got into it was Brian and I, the Fire and the Kid live. And it wasn't a live podcast, it was a live performance. So I'd get up, I'd do 10 minutes to open the show, telling a story. And then Brian would come on and we'd do our thing, improv and fan questions, current events. And then that turned into this, 10, 15 minutes in front of these big crowds. And then the Comedy Store here off Sunset, the world famous Comedy Store goes, hey, we'd love for you to do a set here. And I'm like, oh, you mean like a Fire and Kid with Brian? I don't think Brian can come. They go, no, just you. 8 minutes of stand-up. I was like, dang. And, it's always been my dream. And my heroes were Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler growing up. So I'm like, oh, that would be amazing. I was so nervous. And this is probably a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. And so I get up there, have my material. It goes decent at best. I'd give myself a solid D, but my family and friends were there. And then I just like, man, I love this. I love this. And just kept honing the craft, kept getting up at the comedy store nonstop, kept going. And then eventually my agent, Justin Edbrook, was like, hey, what do you think, you do the Fire and Kid live. What if you did a Big Brown breakdown live? Like you can do some stand-up, you have like 30 minutes of material, and you can do some current events in the MMA and break down the fight. I went, all right, I'll do that. So we do it at the Ice House. My first one ever was at the Ice House in Pasadena in, I think, January or something like that. So I go there, and I do it, and it was good. It went well, but I'm like, I don't want to just do my podcast live and break down fights. Like, I want to do actual stand-up.
Right.
So then that evolved to an hour of stand-up, and then now I'm on the road by myself. You know how it is on the road. So I jump around, but the longest I've gone, I went to Australia. That was like 7 days. I went to Dublin in England. That was like 7 days. But I'm not on the road for like months at a time like certain guys. But I got to be honest, I absolutely love it. Love it.
But, dude, you just said, like, you've been on the road. Dude, being on the road for me at my age.
Different animal for you.
Whole different thing.
Different animal.
We're running around with a pack of guys. Everybody's out of their mind. 3 divorces. You're in a good place right now with your situation. What's your appetite for everything? How do you maintain sanity? You know what? Like, and I'm sure we'll get to Ric Flair and like how he's on the road and stuff like that. And I don't know how you guys deal with it, but I have a fiance and a 20-month-old son. Right. And so when I'm there for a week, I get into the grind, and I pride myself on being there and present and being a beast of a dad. Then when I'm gone for 7 days and I come back, it's like you're trying to fit into their life and into their rhythm, and you're coming in like a bull in a china shop, messing things up. So, and I'm getting more busy. And I just had this talk with Joe Rogan last week. I pitched this show to a network. I wish I could say something. I found out it got greenlit. So there's another thing on my table. And then I have this other thing that they want me to do, this other project. I have my stand-up and my 2 podcasts and this and that. And I'm looking all around, and I was talking to Rogan about this. And he goes, man, you need to figure out what makes you happy, and you can't do everything. If you do everything, then your social life is screwed. Your family life is screwed. So you got to pick 1 or 2 things that you're passionate about and run with that. When you spread yourself too thin is when you get in trouble. So for me, it's trying to manage all that, because in that Ric Flair documentary, that 30 for 30, I think the reason why it hit home for me is because it was inspiring, it was motivating, it was depressing. And because you see this guy who had everything, and he was the life of the party, and you see all this stuff, and I thought because I didn't know this. I'm ignorant. I'm sure your fans like, come on, bro, who doesn't know Ric Flair? I knew who Ric Flair was. Yeah, but he was a couple generations before.
Yeah, I didn't know.
You might have knew of what he did in the ring, but his exploits out of the ring were not known.
Yeah, I didn't realize how just big of a deal he was, and how he came up with that whole gimmick of the money and the girls and the drinking and the partying and all that. And we see it in MMA now with Conor McGregor, and we saw Floyd Mayweather. So he's influenced the fight game and entertainment like never before. So when I watched that, again, I was inspired. It was motivating. It was depressing, because I thought, oh, that's what you don't want to have happen. That's what not to do in this situation. But if you look back on, I'm sure Ric Flair at the time when he's in his heyday is going, man, this is my dream. But then you see his kids, when they interview his kids, and they're just like, he was the worst, man.
Yeah.
It's all perspective.
Man, but that was a choice that he made, and quite frankly, it was a choice that I made. Yeah, I had a great run. I was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Hell yeah.
And he did it longer than I did, and he was defending the belt, the title, and it's what we consider in the wrestling business. He was really the last true world champions that traveled the world into Japan, all over the United States, into the different territories, make them look like $1 million. He was the touring champion. Dude, it was like a shoot for us, real. So for us guys that know the territory systems, he was the last guy and the best guy to do it at that level. But, he made that decision to be on the road, and that was his first love. And his family, came in second place, a distant second.
Super
But my thing to you is, yeah, I understand where you're at right now. Dude, you got to make hay while the sun's shining.
Correct.
You got to. The window only lasts. Who knows how long the window lasts?
Exactly.
It might be a long window, but right now, while you're in the thick of it, you got to get it while you can.
Yeah.
But if you spread yourself too thin, like Joe says,
yeah, it's a fine line, because, like you said, you got to get it while you can, especially in entertainment, just like professional sports, just like wrestling. Like, I mean, I think the average UFC career is maybe 2 years now.
Is it down to just 2 years?
Yeah. I remember I saw the odds like 4 years ago. It was a year and a half.
Right.
And then NFL's 3.5 years, because they're investing in. But UFC, you might see 10 guys on the main card. Then those undercards, those guys are getting switched out left and right. So it's just, I come from that where you don't know if your next paycheck's coming, if it's going. So right now it's kind of like, I think in your 30s, you got to build. So you set yourself up. But again, you don't want to build. And my kid's in his growing years and stuff like that. And he's like, who the hell's my dad? You're the worst.
Yeah.
Because you see Ric Flair's kids and they're like, man, like his daughter who's doing great now, but she goes, yeah, he was that dad. He's never there. And then he would come home and bring me 10 Cabbage Patch dolls. I'm like, there you go. There's love. It's like, no, it's not working.
Yeah. But I wonder, and I haven't talked to his daughter, and I talked to her about a month ago. She was going to be on the podcast. We couldn't make it happen. But I wonder now that if she's in the business, and this is something I'd like to ask her, does she see what he went through a little bit more clearly now? Because she's not in the grind as much because they're not on the road as much. But still, when you're in a spot in the WWE, here's the thing. There's no season. You can't say to the old man, and I say this with respect to Vince, we call him the old man, because he's such a workaholic. He sleeps 4 hours a night, and he's third-generation promoter. And that's his passion is the wrestling business, and he just likes being the man. So you can't go to that guy and say, hey, man, I'm kind of burned out.
It's not
Because
going to
if
work.
you take yourself out of the spot, they put someone else in your spot. They've given you all this TV time, created all this, money to put into your star power.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you say, hey, man, I'm a gear. Take me out of the system for a while, put so-and-so in there, and then I'll come back in a couple of weeks when I get all freshed up. You can't do that.
It doesn't work
So
that
I
way.
wonder, does she understand now a little bit more what her father went through now that she's in a grind?
I bet she understands, but I bet she doesn't. I don't want to say forgive him, but I bet she's still like, yeah, but that's still the choice he made. Because I wonder if you ask Ric Flair, was it worth it? Granted, he's one of the best wrestlers of all time, and he's the
I
huge
think he'd
name.
say he would. I think he
Agree.
would say it was. I sent him a text message after the 30 for 30. I never tell anybody this. I'm telling you on the podcast. I sent him a text message. I said, man, I really enjoyed it because I wanted to go down to the premiere in Atlanta. I couldn't make it. I was on a hunting trip in Nevada. And I said, hey, man, I really enjoyed the 30 for 30 because, first of all, he's my favorite professional wrestler of all time. He's the greatest of all time. And I said, like my run was much shorter than his. It got real hot. But I told him, I said, just in watching your 30 for 30, I can understand, how and why I made some of the decisions I made as well. Because, quite frankly, I wasn't the greatest dad in the world myself either because I chose to be gone, and I mean, and we're talking about pro wrestling or sports or what you're doing right now, but it doesn't matter what you do. It
doesn't
takes
matter.
you away from home. You could be a truck driver.
Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
nobody knows that. The accolades don't come with it, but it's the grind of making a choice. This is how I'm making a living. My living is being on the road, so it is what it is.
Correct. It's the schedule you make, and I think, with Ric Flair, again, that it touched me so much just because you see these highs and lows, and entertainment's entertainment. I don't care if you're wrestling, if you're fighting the octagon, if you're catching footballs, it's all form of entertainment. So I get the hustle, and I get what he was trying to do. I'm like, man, I bet that was so awesome. But then you come home, and it's hard to shut it off. Well, for Navy SEALs, their divorce rate is 93%.
How'd you find out that stat? I know you
From
do
a
lot of
Navy
research.
SEAL.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you talked to many of them?
Yeah, a few of them. Yeah, we've had him on the show, and I was talking to him about just the stresses of what his job entails and being gone for so long, and you're talking years sometimes. And he goes, yeah, that's why the divorce rate's about 93%.
Hey, man.
Which is like, why get married? Like, if you know those stats.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Being a Navy SEAL, this is speculation on my part because I've had a couple of them on my show as well. Like being an MMA fighter, like being a pro wrestler, I think those types of jobs, positions, passions, or pursuits, you got to be wired a little bit different from the get-go.
You're not the norm.
No.
So the 9 to 5, the normal schedule, the going to dinner with your buddies on a Wednesday, like there's no happy hour. Like we don't fit into that mold. You're just not. You're this outlier, and hopefully you can find a girl who understands that outlier. Everyone likes the pit bull till you buy one. That thing's aggressive. It looks sweet in the store, but when you actually commit to it, that thing's going to be tough to handle.
It was funny because in some of being married for me, like, man, when I'm gone, I'm gone. And then, like when I'm off, I'm around.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm gone. And so it's just a whole different lifestyle. And I've enjoyed, I guess I started in business pro wrestling since 1989, and I don't wrestle anymore. Stopped in 2003 and still don't have a regular job. And we filmed Broken Skull Challenge out there in Agua Dulce, which is 50 miles out on the 405. And man, I got off work one day and I said, man, I'm just going to ride, down the highway just to fuck off and kind of, let my brain ease up. We're filming out there on the mountain in the desert. Wind's blowing like hell. It's hotter than some bitch. And man, I got in amongst all the commuters. Dude, when you got those people coming out there from Bakersfield, Palmdale area coming in, 100 miles to get into the grind of L.A., I respect that because everybody's got their bills to pay, and you got to work for a living. That's what my parents always instilled in me. You got to work your ass off. I just never had to commute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you're building your own, you're kind of, granted you were working for someone in WWE, but you're still your own business. You're still your own boss, your own identity. You're putting the food on the table.
Well, our commute was a bunch of guys in a car driving 300 miles to the next shot. After the match is drinking beer. So it's a different kind of commute.
Different kind of commute, but
not in the grind.
But also it's a grind.
Oh,
it's a different kind of grind.
It'll take a toll on you. Before we get into some MMA talk, because I want to talk to you about the world of UFC and some of your career. But you watched professional wrestling for a time back in the day, didn't you?
Yeah.
At what age?
Man, I was a super fan from probably 6 to around 14 probably, of like Macho Man, Razor Ramon, The Warrior, Hulk, those were my guys.
Wasn't Razor Ramon one of the greatest characters of all time?
Yes, hell yeah.
The way he went into that, because, I remember watching Scott when he was in AWA, and this is before your time, but he was just, if you ever saw him in person, back in the day, that was a big son of a bitch. But he had the cowboy mustache. He's working the cowboy gimmick.
Yeah.
And so, years later when he turned himself into the Razor gimmick, I was like, holy smokes, this is off the charts, because the cowboy gimmick was kind of neat, but it was, it's kind of cliched or not really
Yeah, you've seen it before.
Yeah. When he came out with that Razor thing, it was just a total reinvention of himself. And, basically his band, Scarface. Basically Scarface.
Yeah.
So anyway, I watch wrestling, and I see what I see. And you watch MMA or UFC, you see what you see.
Yeah.
You've got to watch the two separately, because I imagine if you and I are watching a match together from, let's say from Attitude Era, because you can identify with that. Or you and I are watching a match from the last pay-per-view, UFC pay-per-view 217, which I saw your predictions in your preview of, and I had my predictions going to that as well. How do you watch the fights versus if you're turned on WWE today? How are you watching that? Are you like, man, this is bullshit, or I'm just watching as a fan? Do you understand what's going on?
I don't really understand what's going on, because I think what makes WWE so special is there's stories behind it. Same with the UFC. If you're invested into the fighter, if you know their story, where they came from. So for me, it's like, watching, let's say I never seen Stranger Things. I start on episode 6. I'm like, I get it. I realize it's good quality content, and, what they're doing is good, but I don't really understand it. So with the WWE right now, I couldn't really name too many guys, the current WWE. Again, when there's certain things that spark my interest, and then I go down this rabbit hole. So like Game of Thrones, forever I made fun of people that watch Game of Thrones. Rogan and Joey Diaz. You never watched it? Nope. I made fun of him. Is there dragons in it? Yeah, I went, I'm 30. I'm not watching if there's dragons. Always making jokes about it. Then I got into it. It's the best TV show I've ever seen.
Really?
With wrestling, it's not that I made fun of it, but we would have some wrestlers comment to me and go, it's just the same as MMA and stuff like that. So I'd get into that argument, like, no, man. So, but once you realize, and again, this Ric Flair thing I went down this rabbit hole. I watched, and I went, what a fascinating story, man. What a life. And so then I just started going down the Ric Flair rabbit hole. And I have Ric Flair t-shirts and Razor Ramon t-shirts and Warrior t-shirts. And it's just, shout out to Homage. And I just, I think it's easy to criticize something, and I'm guilty as anyone. I'll criticize something, but then when you look into it, you're like, oh my God, you moron! Like, look into it before you jump to conclusions. So for me, it's just more about kind of knowing what's going on. So when I watch WWE, like probably 6 years ago, whenever The Rock did WrestleMania in Florida, I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and I watch it now and I go, what the hell is this, man?
Right.
What is this?
Right.
You know, because I'm used to seeing mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
But now, after doing my research and watch it, it's just I look at it different. I still don't understand it. Same with MMA. I'm sure you watch MMA or a lot of people, but you have a better understanding than most people. They might watch and go, God, this fight sucks. You know what? But really, you know, if you know what's going on, it's a whole strategic kind of game plan from both guys, and that's why it looks like it's boring, but there's so much going on.
Well, the funny thing about UFC is I've been a huge fan since UFC started, but I stopped watching for a while. I drifted back, and I was always a pro wrestler, and then they kind of started turning a little more hybrid, versus the wrestlers versus the strikers.
Yeah.
Because that was some weird matchups back in the day. I mean, it was a cluster. I mean, you never know what you were going to get.
It was awkward a little bit.
Was.
Yeah, it was awkward.
And so for a while,
feeling out process.
And so, but now when I watch, I'm trying to watch with, it was funny to watch your predictions on UFC 217 because I got that pay-per-view. I get almost all of them. But when you're watching a fight, are you watching from an analytical standpoint, or can you step back and just enjoy it for what it is? Dude, or you get invested, like, you should do this, you should do this.
Oh, very rarely can I sit back and just enjoy it. I usually have a relationship with someone fighting, or I made a prediction, so I'm hoping this happens, or I'm very critical of kind of what they're doing. Not when I say critical, just meaning like I'm analyzing what they're doing.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing to have, but because I'm never bored. I'm never like, this fight sucks. I can always understand what they're doing and what they're going through. But with UFC 217, I mean, good God, when I say we, I don't work for the UFC. I just mean the sport of mixed martial arts. Did we ever need that card? Did we ever need it? It's been a rough year. It really has. It's been, the most down year. There hasn't been a lot of spark. Conor hasn't fought. Ronda's out. Brock's out. So there's no really superstars. John Jones is, MIA, and who knows what happens with him. So there just hasn't been a lot to celebrate this year. There hasn't been that great of fights. And then 217 comes along. And it was just, to me, it was the best pay-per-view of all time.
It was great. It was a good pay-per-view, and I was particularly invested in the last three fights. And I was
title
talking with
fights.
Joe. He always sends me, a text message. Hey, man, who you got? I know pretty much everybody, but some of these newcomers are coming up. And if you hadn't been watching for a while, then I haven't heard of them.
It's tough to keep up.
Yeah, Joe's really dialed in, as you are. Obviously, it's what you do, or the world that you're in. But, man, you've got to make these stars.
Just like WWE, I'm sure, there's a feeder process and you got to build these guys up.
Yeah.
The problem is with the UFC is you might build these guys up and you're putting all the sponsors on them and you're shooting the countdown shows and then they get knocked out.
Right.
And you're like, God damn it.
What's your take on the building process of trying to make an MMA star? Because, coming out of, you with Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Take me through the building process, because one time I was backstage at a UFC event. I can't remember which one. It was in Vegas somewhere. And I met, what's the matchmaker's name? Joe Silva?
Joe Silva, yeah.
Talked to him. I said, man, I'd love to have you on the podcast one day. And he kind of looked at me and he goes, man, there's not too much I can tell you.
He doesn't do interviews.
I know.
Yeah.
But so not to ask you what Joe Silva would think, but
no, you
talk
can.
To me about
talk
to me about the star making aspect of the booking of talent, which would be a fighter. In the case of wrestling, would be a wrestler.
Yeah.
But talk about the star making process, or all of a sudden, okay, hey man, this guy's got potential. The matchups are building blocks this guy's got to overcome, but they got to kind of be. It's the building of a fighter. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's the building of a fighter. I think it's similar to wrestling, where you guys start on a local scene and you make your rounds and you have that build up, and then you get signed to the big show, after you're doing your work around the national kind of local scene, and you kind of build up your name, you build up your resume, you kind of know yourself, you have the skills a little bit, and then you get signed to the UFC. The problem with the UFC is it's still a fairly new sport. So once you sign with the UFC, I mean, there's certain guys like Sage Northcutt or Mickey Gall, but man, once you sign with the UFC, you better be ready to go, because it's like if you sign with the WWE, man, you better be able to wrestle with Stone Cold. You better be able to hang with the Undertaker. Like you're at that level. There's really not a lot of babying going on. So the challenge with the UFC and building a star is they used to have the Ultimate Fighter, which was huge. Where if a guy was on there, if you were a character, if you did well, you translated well into the regular UFC. Now, the Ultimate Fighter is a little watered down. It's not getting that many views. Matter of fact, if I was a manager of a fighter, I would tell them not to go on the Ultimate Fighter because of the contract you're under, because no one's really watching it. It's actually tougher to go through that than to get on the
Why is it watered down?
It's just, I think they're on season, 20 or something like that. And they're just, the competition's not that good. They're trying to, it's been going on too long. It's like cops, it's just,
do they need to reinvent the wheel? Because here's the thing. I bought a ranch in South Texas 10, 11 years ago. I just sold it. And it was raining cats and dogs. It was storming. I mean, it was unbelievable. This is the first night I'd bought the ranch. And the most incredible lightning storm I'd ever seen. It was like aliens. I mean, spaceships landing. That's how awesome the lightning storm was. I said, man, what am I going to do? I'm stuck here in the house. It got dark. And I'd heard about the Ultimate Fighter. I was a huge fan of UFC. But I just never watched it. What are these guys going to do?
Yeah.
So, dude, I started watching it. I got hooked. So for a while there, that was one of my favorite shows on TV. So I watched it, bring about a lot of stars.
Yeah.
So how do you feel that if it made so many stars and it was as good as it was back in the day, why is it so watered down now? And why would you maybe advise somebody, hey, man, don't do the Ultimate Fighter because of the stipulations or restraints of said contract?
Yeah, it's just it doesn't give you that same push anymore. You're better off kind of building your name, actually fighting UFC guys, because that house it's a boiling chamber. It's tough. You're there for 6 weeks. You can't leave. It's really not like you're in the UFC. You don't fight like that in the UFC. You're not around 15 other dudes where you can't leave the house, can't see your family, and you're fighting 3 times in 6 weeks. Right. So it's just, that's not real life. And again, if it was a huge show, if it was, the season I was on was the biggest rated season of all time. If it was like that when it was on Spike, yeah, do it. Because even if you don't win, people who know your name, you might get this sponsor, you might get this huge push. But now, the ratings are just, not good. So I just feel like if you're a local fighter, you're better off building up the skills and then getting to the UFC. Now, that's a whole nother animal, because once you get to the UFC, like you said, you better be ready to go. And now Conor, takes this Ric Flair-esque type of personality, and then you combine that with his special God-gift talents from Ireland with his accent, and you have this perfect storm. Well, this guy comes along, and he changed the game like Ric Flair did, sets the path where we didn't even think an MMA fighter could get to this level. The reason why the UFC is so good is because of the best lawyers. These lawyers didn't even think of Conor McGregor get to this level.
Right.
The boxing, of course, we don't have boxing in the contract. Cool. He's fighting Floyd Mayweather. Like, holy shit, we need to figure this out. So he's transcended the sport. And now guys go, oh my God, I see what Conor has. Now I want that. So they're trying to come up with these gimmicks, and it's just not natural. But everyone's trying to find their way now because Conor McGregor set this new pathway.
But you were talking with, I guess it was one of your times you was on Joe Rogan's show, and you guys were talking about the making of a star. And Kevin Lee was one of the names you guys were talking about. And good-looking guy, talking a lot of trash, and could back it up.
Yeah.
So,
but he lost.
Who did he lose to?
He lost to Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, y'all were talking about Ferguson as well.
Yeah. So again, it's so weird because Vince McMahon he can see a star in Steve Austin and go, all right, I see that. Okay, you're going to win this, and you're going to get to here, and obviously you got to put in the work. With the UFC, Tony Ferguson, who he's won 11 in a row, he's the toughest guy at 155 pounds at lightweight. He's beaten everybody, and he's just hasn't transcended into that for whatever reason, he's missing something. And this superstar Stu, he's missing an ingredient. We don't know what it is.
Right.
But if it hasn't come in, I don't know, he's been in the UFC for 7 years, he's an Ultimate Fighter winner, hasn't come, it's just not there. There's nothing you can do. And then with Kevin Lee, me or Rogan and I were both like, he's the next big thing. Right. He has all the star qualities, and he's young, so he still has that potential, but then he loses to Tony Ferguson. And then that fight, numbers-wise, I think it did 200 pay-per-view, 200,000, which is low rating. So the making of a star. And I was at this party with UFC brass. I won't mention his name. I'm sure you guys can figure out. And he goes, these guys don't understand. We decide who's the star, not them. They want to play hardball. We decide. I thought, oh, you're so wrong, bro. You're so wrong. You have to pray to God John Jones walks in that octagon. Yeah. You have to pray a guy like Conor McGregor has it all. Yeah. You have to hope a Ronda Rousey, comes about. But, a lot of these athletes are once in a lifetime. But just like any sport, and I'm sure WWE has it has its ups and downs, its ebbs and flow. It's a cycle. Even in the NFL, NBA, whatever it is, there's the superstars, and then they retire, and it's a little lull, and then comes back up. They'll be fine, but there's certain things that got them to the dance that they're not doing right now.
Man, when that one guy said, hey, man, we determine who's a star, Vince's deal was, he always says, Steve, the box office is your biggest indication of whether you're a star or not. And it was funny one time, I've told the story many times, but it applies just directly to what you just said about all of a sudden, this guy comes along with all these talents, good looking, he can talk, can fight, he's got the whole package, but he doesn't win. So in everybody's minds, hey, this is a guy. So he's being groomed, but he just can't get there. One time I was at the Madison Square Garden. If you've ever been to the Garden, it's a very short entrance to the ring from where that dressing room is. And I used to always watch I'd usually be in the main events at this time. There's a blue curtain going down to the aisle, to the locker rooms. I was watching, and Vince McMahon was right beside me. And a dude goes out there, Steve Blackman, and he gets a pretty good pop, as we would say in the wrestling business. A bigger response than we anticipated him getting. Yeah. And me and Vince looked at each other, and he said, God damn, he got a pretty good pop. I said that, and I said, God damn, pretty good pop. And Vince looked at me, and he goes, yep. He goes, I really hope he can get over. Meaning get over in our world means get over. Means turning into a star. Yeah. He had a great look. He had great skills, martial arts background. And it's like, when he said that to me, here's the be-all, end-all. Here's the Mac Daddy. Here's Vince McMahon, the OG, saying, hey, man, basically I'm saying I can put a rocket pack on your ass and I can light it, but you have to be able to do something with it. Now, again, in MMA, that's a shoot sport. It's for real. Pro wrestling, the finish is determined, and you need some good finishes. You need some wins. You can't lose every night and get over. No. But losing can help you get over. My point is, you've got to be able. You can be the chosen one with all the physical attributes and some mental attributes, and some showmanship skills. But if you can't carry your end of the deal, they can light your ass on fire, but it doesn't mean you're going to be a star.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Vince McMahon can only do so much for you, and then inside that ring is where you're going to get the push or the pop and get over that wall. In the UFC, it's the same thing, but there are guys like a Nate Diaz who he has a salty record-ish. He's lost, I think, 4 out of his last 7, but we're going to watch him fight no matter what because of what he represents, what he stands for. He's beat some of the best in the world. He's lost some of the best in the world, but it's always an entertaining fight because of personality. Man, those are far and few between. There's not a ton of guys where if you're not winning, like Joanna, who just lost at 217, she was going to break Ronda Rousey's record for most defended titles in female 6 times. She gets knocked out in the first round. Okay. And then, in our business, you're only good as your last fight. Mm-hmm. So then there she goes. Cody Garbrandt was a guy that they attached that rocket to. He's the bantamweight champion. And, he beat Dominic Cruz and, he got the belt. And then he's fighting his old teammate, TJ Dillashaw. And there's all this story behind it.
Great story.
Great story. Phenomenal story and I love Cody. And he's going to be a superstar. But the UFC invested all this, this rocket fuel into him. Then they lose, and they're all right, God damn it. Or with Ronda, you want to talk about rocket fuel. When her comeback fight against Amanda Nunes, they had NASA build her this rocket ship. They did all the promos just about her. Oh, the fight gods don't work like that. She gets knocked down the first round, and most people are like, hold on, we don't even know who she's fighting. Well, then Ronda retires, now you're left with this. But you got to attach a rocket pack to her. So right. It's a tough dynamic for them. I do not envy what they have to go through.
Man, it was really weird because you mentioned Ronda Rousey, who I'm a huge fan of, and I go back to the weigh-ins with her and Holly Holm. And, Ronda was angry. She's talking that trash.
Passionate, yeah.
And, Holly was just standing there. I mean, she's 13, however many times boxing champion. She's been around the horn.
Yeah, you're not going to intimidate her.
No, she's no rookie. And I want to ask you about intimidation and getting in someone's head. Remind me about that. But going back to that weigh-in, and then, Holly Holm, in my opinion, and I'm not an expert like you are, but she was winning, but she was pedestrian in her wins. All of a sudden, that night against Holly Holm, she was a superstar, and, she just dialed in, and just Ronda had that 6-inch circle kind of right there in the middle of her face where Holly was just teeing off, and then finally that kick, and so it was over. But Ronda had, been really aggressive at the weigh-in. And so Joanna, and I can't pronounce her last name.
Jędrzejczyk.
Okay.
It's a tough one.
I hear
it took me about a year to figure that out, yeah. They call it Joanna the champ.
Yeah, Joanna. And so I was like, man, all of a sudden, all the highlight packages have been following her, fan. What I appreciated about her was just how hungry she was, just how hard she was trained. She would train to maintain that belt. That belt was her identity, and she was not going to lose it.
I agree.
And then you got Rose. Man, she got the shaved burr haircut. Yeah. And just a real pretty gal, just kind of, just unassuming, very quiet. And Joe, again, texted me. He says, hey, man, this is going to be a lot closer fight than most think. He goes, this Rose chick is bad. And, again, she was one of those people who kind of came up. I'd heard her name, hadn't really seen her fight. And then at the weigh-in, Joanna's doing her thing. She's being very aggressive, a little headbutting going on.
Yeah.
And Rose just played back. And then that fight goes down. And I don't know whether it was left or right hand, but boom, down Joanna goes.
Sits on her
got
butt.
A new champ.
I know.
What happened?
Well, I think there's similarities in both those losses. So you have two champions who are reigning, six-time defending champions. And with Ronda, her case is a little different, but, with Joanna and Ronda, I think what happens is, and you know this, especially being a WWE superstar, is when you're the champ, when you're the superstar, your priorities and your workload is different than the contenders. Meaning you have to sell the card. You're doing more interviews. You're putting in more work. Anywhere you go, you're getting recognized. You're kind of carrying the load, and that can take a toll. Everyone wants to be a champ, so you have to do champion shit. Everyone thinks they want to be a champ until it's time to wake up at 6 a.m. and do that media row, and you're selling shirts, and you got to do this call, and you have your manager doing this, and now you're flying to New York, and you're flying all around. So heavy lies the crown. But I think at some point, heavy lies the crown, you fall into this, I am the greatest. Goddamn, I am different than everyone else. Man, I actually think I'm God's giving gift here. I don't think I can lose. I'm invincible. And then you go in there, and that's just not the way it works. Because Rose wants exactly what you want. Rose Namajunas wants it. Or, Holly Holm, she's been working her entire life for this moment. And she didn't do all the media, and she just wants to fight. She doesn't care about anything else. Rose, same thing. They don't care about anything else. So I think both of them kind of bought their own hype. And they felt like they had to sell it, and they got a little too confident, and a little too overzealous. And, you pay the price. And when you pay the price, it's the most embarrassing thing you can go through as a professional athlete when you get knocked out.
Is it buying into the hype, or is it just overconfidence?
I think it's both, and I think, granted, the athlete's to blame because they have to go in there and perform. They got to realize what they're dealing with, but it's the people that are surrounded with it. And I don't know Joanna's team. I don't know anything like that. But I think Joanna, she's beat everyone. She's outclassed everyone. And Rose has never really been known as a stand-up artist. I trained with Rose in Denver. I've known Rose and her husband, Pat, for a very long time. And they're phenomenal people, great people. But she's never really been a standout striker. To me, in that fight, I thought it was a little dangerous because Rose is very explosive. She's a little unorthodox. You really don't know what to expect, and you don't realize how athletic she is. So that might catch Joanna. If it doesn't, I thought Rose would get outclassed through the striking. Well, Rose, she's a professional, worked really hard on striking, has one of the best striking coaches in the world in Trevor Whitman, and her husband happens to be Pat Barry, who's a world-class kickboxer. So I think she's working on her striking. So she didn't believe the hype. She didn't believe Joanna's this unstoppable monster. That's why she's at where she's at. So I think in Ronda's case, it was a little different because I don't know how she couldn't buy into the hype that she was the Mike Tyson of women's fighting. When you got Rogan, myself, Dana White, everyone going, you're God's gift to striking in women's MMA. But then when you break it down, it's like, well, who's she fighting? And then when she fought real strikers, she just gets outclassed when her background's in judo and grappling, which she got away from because of the hype machine, because of this monster that told her she was God's gift of striking. Who in the hell? Why would she believe that when her mom's this phenomenal judo coach? So I think, with both of them, they just got a little too comfortable, and that's what happened in this game.
But, going back to the Ronda thing, I remember when, coming from her judo background, man, if she got her hands on you, well, I mean, Jesus Christ, her first 7 fights were arm bars or whatever, 6 or 7, whatever it was, just arm bar
Best
finishes.
arm bars in the world, yes.
It was like, dude, if you let her get a hold of you, she has that crazy strength. She's not like muscle bound, but she obviously is very technical from a judo standpoint and throwing people. But when she gets her hands on me, she's like a beast.
Game over.
And so I think she outclassed the competition.
She should still outclass competition. I still don't think there's a woman in the UFC. The lighter weight's 115 there, but especially at 135, Cyborg's fighting at 45, and we should get into that because that's Holly's next fight. But I think, I don't know if there's a woman alive today that can compete with Ronda as far as grappling. And if Ronda went in and went, all I'm going to do is take you down and armbar you, I don't know if her mind frame is right, she wanted to compete, she'd probably still do that to every girl in the UFC.
One thing was driving me crazy, the one fight she had with Misha Tate, I guess Misha Tate's boyfriend was her coach, and maybe still is, but I mean, he was yelling.
Brian Caraway, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, go, like engage her.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what are you saying, man? I'm a pro wrestler.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
This is somebody you want to at least keep at distance, do whatever you got to do, but you don't want her to get hands on you. And every time, Ronda would throw her and it end up like it
go for a ride.
So I was like, dude, what are you saying? So then Ronda has all that success, and I don't know that she bought into the hype, or maybe she did. But one thing that I could visibly see with Ronda was she was such a superstar. She was in demand for, like the movies, the commercials, the endorsements, and congratulations to all the success. I think that spread her thin. And so she couldn't focus on what brought her to the dance.
There you go, brother.
Her game.
There you go. And, you see it this day and age where, every athlete wants to be a movie star. Every movie star wants to be an athlete. So with Ronda, she thought she could do the Hollywood thing and still compete at the highest level in the world, and it just doesn't work like that. I see a lot of guys in the UFC today's world who are, they're at the desk with Joe Rogan. They're working for UFC tonight. They're traveling around. They're in these movies. And I wish someone would get in their air and go, I know you got to strike while the iron's hot. I'm telling you, though, you're going to get outclassed. Because there's guys who are just as talented, if not more talented, and they don't give a fuck about Hollywood and the movies. They're not traveling to go break down a fight in Oklahoma. They're not on the movie set in LA here in whatever Bad Boys 17 where the hell they're shooting.
Right.
These guys, all they care about is beating you. So when you're on set and reading your lines, they're in the gym punching the bag, getting better.
Right.
So you got to figure out what you want.
All right, let's take a quick pause for the calls and give big ups to a sponsor who makes this podcast possible, and that's TrueCar. Now, there's something about TrueCar a lot of people don't know, that TrueCar can also help you find a used car. In fact, there are over 700,000 pre-owned vehicles available from TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. Whether you're looking to buy new or used, TrueCar gets you upfront pricing information that empowers, letting you see what other people paid for the car you want so you can know what a fair price is and feel confident. And with TrueCar, you can connect with a local certified dealer of your choosing to make the process quick and easy. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states.
Hi, I'm Aubrey Marcus, CEO of Onnit.com. At Onnit, we've revolutionized the health and fitness industry with our unique and effective line of earth-grown supplements and foods aimed at helping you achieve total human optimization. Today, I want to tell you about a product that has truly changed my life for the better, New Mood. New Mood is an effective daily stress supplement made with earth-grown nutrients designed to help you relax and help your body maintain an optimal mood balance. Great for unwinding after a long day and helping to ease ordinary stress. New Mood works by combining the two raw building blocks of important neurotransmitters, L-tryptophan and 5-HTP, to help the body maintain a state of peaceful calm. Safe for daily use, New Mood is ideal when you are under stress, down in the dumps, or just need some refreshing sleep. Thousands of people worldwide are already enjoying the relaxing effects of New Mood on a daily basis. And right now, as a special offer, we're giving you the opportunity to try New Mood totally free. Just pay shipping and handling, and we'll send you out a free 30-count bottle of New Mood right away. Simple as that. We're only able to offer a limited amount of free bottles per day, so get your free bottle of New Mood now. Go to onnit.com/trial, that's ONNIT.com/trial, to pick up your first bottle on us after shipping and handling.
Hi, everybody. It's good old JR Jim Ross, WWE Hall of Famer, here to tell you about a huge interview that we scored with Dave Bautista on my show, The Ross Report. Dave's talking about a lot of things, including Dave's relationship with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
I always think along the lines of professional wrestling. Like, I always thought he and I in a film would be smart booking. I thought it's an easy sell, and I wondered if we did, for our first time on film together, if we did a franchise that was already established, if it would take away from that.
Make sure you don't miss our conversation with Batista and all the great interviews that we have every week right here on The Ross Report. Exclusively here on Podcast One. You can download and listen to the show at podcastone.com, the Podcast One app, or subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts.
This is Steve Austin Unleashed.
Talk about mindset, and because of your career, what, 10-5?
I mean, if you count my the Ultimate Fighter fights, which is, I don't know why they don't count them. I think, I was like 14-5 or something like that. Yeah.
All right, dude. Take me. I know you're an athletic kid. You get out of football, play a little bit of pro football.
Yeah.
You start fighting.
Yep.
Turns out you're pretty good at it. Your dad, has Taekwondo background?
Yeah, Taekwondo, yeah.
So you get into fighting, okay, and you start doing really well.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my deal, because everybody knows your career. And I watch it. I remember you.
Yeah.
I remember, hey, man, here's this kid coming out of football. We'll see how he does.
Yeah.
And at the weigh-in, the psych outs, are you selling tickets there? Are you really getting anybody's head? Is it a show for the people in attendance?
See, now it's a show for people in attendance, especially the way they do the weigh-ins. Now it's a show because I want to say it's the Conor McGregor effect. Because everyone wants to get to that level of stardom, so they feel like they have to do more than just weigh in. When I was fighting, and even George St. Pierre, who just fought UFC 217, took 4 years off. Even he goes, it's a little different now. When I was fighting, now it's more entertainment. Now you got to sell, you got to talk trash. The weigh-ins are different. It's a performance. And so when I was fighting, I retired 4 years around the same time George did. So it was about the fights. Really about the fights and who was the better guy. And that's what excited people, is more for the purists. Now it's become so mainstream. Guys are having to get a little more theatrical and a little more Ric Flair and The Rock style, so it's just different animal. But I don't think you get to that level. Maybe if you're young, it'll affect you, but I've never been to stare down and thought, shit, here we go. Never has that ever worked on me. I was always scared to fight. So it didn't matter who it was. It was just, is my own demons.
Nobody's going to get in your head on a weigh-in. You think, hey, man, I really need to watch this guy because he's looking at me real tough and he's intimidating me. That's not happening.
Not really.
I mean, if it is, you're in the wrong fucking
You're probably in the wrong business. For sure in the wrong business. I think there's sometimes when the stakes are so high, like with the Jose Aldo, Conor McGregor, Conor talks so much trash, he got Jose Aldo emotional, and so he sprinted on, which is what Conor wanted. I think there's when Ronda gets emotional or Joanna got emotional. You can see guys get emotional where you're like, that's never good, because you're not fighting off your instincts anymore. You're acting out of character, and you want to hurt them so bad. You kind of have out of character. I think Cody Garbrandt fought a little emotional when he fought at TJ because there's so much
you're saying
history.
When they do that, they're taking themselves away from their game plan.
Yeah, they're not as sharp.
Hey, man, maybe somebody winds up or does a show.
They're seeing red.
Hey, fuck you, and they get out of the game.
Yeah,
plan.
they're seeing red. Okay. It's like if you're if you've never been in a fight before, maybe you've only been in street fights, and you're in that. You're going down the road and someone cuts you off and you're seeing red. You're not thinking logically. You're not thinking, all right, let me think about what this guy's going through and, let me try and dilute this situation and figure things out. No, you're seeing red and getting emotional and who knows what you're going to do. Well, you can't fight professionally like that. You can get eaten alive.
What was your approach to going into the octagon? They play the entrance music, people coming from the back of the arena. And I guess maybe, I don't want to answer the question for you, maybe it's an extension of everybody's personality or their take on things. for me, going back to pro wrestling and in the world of showbiz, man, as soon as that glass broke, I came down that ring with the BMF walk. It stands for bad motherfucker.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I figured, the way you walk to that ring sends a message to your opponent of what your mindset is. Okay, that was me in the world of showbiz.
Were you nervous?
No.
You were never nervous?
No.
Never butterflies or nothing?
No, early on, yeah. But once I was very proficient in the ring and 100%.
Once you were stone cold, it was on.
And it wasn't like, I had to be in the back, banging my head against the wall to try to get in the stone cold character. Dude, all I did was take the me that you're talking to now and just go, zip, put it on 11.
Yep.
Here we go. And people would ask me, hey, man, you're always talking shit on the way to the ring. What are you saying? It's always, you got that shit right, motherfucker. And it was just a reaffirmation of all that adrenaline was coming through.
So it must have been so fun.
Oh, dude.
My God.
If you could, I've never put a needle in my arm, but if you could bottle that and sell it,
oh my God,
you'd be a billionaire.
For sure.
So anyway, that was my approach. That was my approach to pro wrestling. So what was your demeanor? Because you'll see that, one time I was sitting front row UFC. I can't remember which event it was. I can't remember who Stephen Bonner was fighting. I was right there when he weighed in, and they had the Red Hot Chili Pepper song blaring in the background. It was the perfect entrance music. And I looked at his eyes, and I talked to Stephen a couple years ago in a Vegas hotel. Dude, his eyes were – he was in there. I don't know who – there was a demon in there,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he took it to that level. Then you see the people would all calm and
relax,
yeah. And then the chill, some people are smiling.
I know.
Okay, what were you thinking? What was your approach? And was it something that you put thought into?
Mine was fair. Mine, and that's why I asked you if you were, nervous or I don't say scared, but for me it was more just sheer fear back there, and I had to face these demons, and I would analyze everything. It actually hurt me as a fighter. I think at the skills of a world champion, but my mind, I always outworked everyone, but my mind was more analytical, and I'd overthink everything. Well, if I'm here, he does this 90% of the time. If I go to here, he's going to do this. Instead of just going off my natural talents and reacting to the situation in front of me, I'm going based off analytics that I've downloaded before the fight and went through camp and expected them to do, and actually hurt me. So my thing is, a lot of the times I just tell myself when I'm walking, let's just do this. This is your last one. This is it, man. Here's your last one. Just get through this, perform. You've worked so hard in training camp. There's nothing else you can do. Just go out there, do your thing, do your best, and let's see what happens. And it's your last one. This is just going to be your last one. I would always, and then I remember my first real competition besides Roy Nelson, the Ultimate Fighter finale, which, was crazy. But then I got in the UFC. I knocked out 3 guys in a row, all under a minute. And then they called me with Gabriel Gonzaga, who's ranked top 10 at the time.
Now, was this pre-Mirko head kick or post?
This is pre. This was right before Mirko. Okay. So I fight 3, don't get me wrong, tough guys. Chris Tusher, which is Brock Lesnar's main training partner, they call him the Crowbar. He's 20-1 when I fought him. Nightmare guy. Knocked him out in, I don't know, minute 6 on Brock Lesnar's undercard with Shane Carwin. So I fought on Brock's undercard.
Dude, I was there in the front row.
There you go. So
hey, did you think, god dang, what was the referee of Brock's match?
Herb Dean?
No.
What, white guy?
Yep.
Big John?
Nope. God dang, it was the other guy.
What's he look like? Give me something like it.
It wasn't Steve Mergliotta. It was
Rosenthal?
It was Josh Rosenthal.
Yeah. Went to prison for marijuana.
Oh, he did?
Marijuana sales. I think he's out now because it's marijuana.
But my point is, I was sitting right there next to Jim Ross, and I was thinking, man, because Carl was pounding the hell out of him, and I was thinking, man, they're gonna call this. It was a real close judgment on the stoppage, and he let it go, and then Brock got that gimmick choke, whatever it was, on him.
That head arm choke.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was nasty.
And man, I've trained with a ton of guys, and Shane Carwin going to that fight was one of the best fighters, regardless of weight class, I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. So Brock got his very best, took it, and then weathered the storm and submitted him. And I just remember, again, I always I know Brock had that wrestling background, but I was like, why is he doing this? Is he a real fighter?
Right.
And that night, man, I mean, you can say what you want about Brock and the path that he had to get to the UFC, and that you want to talk about no warm-up fights getting thrown to the wolves.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy passed all tests. You want a real badass. I don't know where you stand with Brock, but as far as
Brock's one of my best friends.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I cannot say enough about this guy, especially now I look back in retrospective, a complete and I hate to use that, but fucking badass, man. What he did in that short amount of time, the guys that he fought, to even think about that in this day and age is insane. I don't think we'll ever see another one. You see some WWE guys, obviously CM Punk came and it was a fun test, but he has no background. His background is in performance arts. He doesn't have a background like Brock, who's an absolute freak athlete. Brock's a freak athlete.
Yeah, he's a freak athlete. He's once in a generation kind of guy.
Correct.
And, a couple-time All-American in college. So comes from a great background with respect to trying to get into MMA. But just as far as the way today's MMA goes, I don't know that they would have let that fight go long enough for him to get that
I agree.
gimmick choke.
I agree, but now that see, if Brock would have came out and then, just got his ass whooped, Josh Rosenthal would have been taking so much heat. But now you see that, you go, God, good thing you let it go, because you're talking about Shane Carwin's the new, champ of the world. So, you can't hate on the guy. Although at the time I was mad. I wanted to stop it. Shane was my best friend. I'm like, stop the fight. It's over. It's over. Come on.
Where were we before? Let's digress. You were making your point. We were talking about you and your career. You were on a roll.
Oh, I was talking about, so I knocked out Chris Tushar, and then the UFC called me with Gabriel Gonzaga, who's like my first real test. And
that dude was an absolute animal.
Yeah, I remember he knocked out Mirko.
Yeah.
He just, he's the guy, he fought Randy Couture. Randy broke his nose for a title shot, or for the title. And then he just got done fighting Junior Dos Santos. And then I get him, and it was in Anaheim again on Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez card here. Yeah, Anaheim. So
I was there too.
Yeah, there you go, man. And so I was on the main card this time. I think first fight of the night on the main card. And I remember walking out, telling myself, and I told my coach and my family, I went, if I can't beat Gabriel Gonzaga, I really don't have a future in the sport. So if I lose, this is my last one. And I was dead set, ready to retire right there.
Because you didn't think anything of Gonzaga?
No, because I thought if I can't beat him, then I'm just a guy. Okay. I'm just going to be that middle of the tier guy where you're never going to really make money. You're not going to get sponsors. You can punch in the head for no reason. Like go work at Starbucks.
Right.
It's a better life. You have benefits. You're probably going to make the same money.
Right.
So then I went, all right, it's just not for me. This isn't my talents. Then I beat Gabriel Gonzaga in 3 rounds and outclassed him. And then the rest was history.
I was on YouTube. I was watching some of Brendan Schaub's best moments in the octagon, and then some of your worst.
Yeah.
Some of those being knockouts.
Yeah.
There was a lot of the best.
Yeah.
And obviously you retired with a winning record.
Yeah.
Obviously the thrill of victory is what it is. When you're taking some of those shots, and dude, I ain't kissing your ass. I mean, you're a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff, you're still standing up, and then all of a sudden you get down. Talk to me about that process, because, dude, I've been through everything that I've been through, and I've taken a couple of steel chairs to the head, but nothing what a mixed martial arts fighter would go through, and especially with the diversity of the skills and the heavy hands. Dude, we're not wearing 4-ounce gloves.
4 ounce.
And with the power, but taking shots like that, dumb question, what are you thinking when that's going on? Or what are you thinking when you come around, and what are you thinking 12 to 24 hours? That's 4 questions. Just kind of fill me in on what that's like, because it looks like just total devastation.
Well, your adrenaline's it's just pumping so high. I remember the first time when Roy hit me before he knocked me out, he hit me and my face felt warm, but I thought, that's it? You're supposed to be a knockout artist? That's it? But what you don't realize, your adrenaline's so high, you're really not feeling it. And it doesn't hurt. You don't really feel the shots, but, obviously your brain shuts off if they hit you, hard enough and on the right button. It's just, I hated losing more than I liked winning. That's a quote from some wrestler, but winning to me, it's like, that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, all right, on to the next one. Give me my paycheck. I'm glad I got, an extra bonus or my extra pay. That's great. On to the next one. It was the losses that were just so devastating. Like in MMA, the peaks and valleys, they're so high, and then the valleys are so low. I don't know if there's any other sport in the world like that, where when you win, especially if it's a big fight, you're on top of the world. It's great. And then when you lose, I don't know if there's anything like it in the world. I would imagine it's like if you're Tom Brady and you lose the Super Bowl, 3 times in a year, and you've thrown that game-losing interception. Maybe that's the worst, even though that's, there's 10 other guys on the field. But those ups and downs, and I was trying to talk about it on my show. I do fan questions. Someone asked me what it's like being a mixed martial artist for me. And I said, and this isn't everyone. You talk to the Diaz brothers, Cain Velasquez, maybe Brock, any of these real legit fighters, and I don't consider myself like a real, through and through fighter, but you talk to any legit fighters, they live for it. It's what they love. They don't think about it. With me, I was always stressed out. I always had anxiety because this is a weird analogy, but so I'd win a fight, I'd go to Hawaii, I'd be on vacation with a girl or with my friends, stuff like that. But in the back of my mind, there's this boogeyman. The boogeyman's all my other opponents. They would follow me to Hawaii because I'm thinking about that. I'm not thinking about the beach, the sand, the pina coladas, and what game we're gonna play that night. None of that. I'm thinking about, God, this boogeyman's training. He's gonna get better. I don't know what he looks like, but he's gonna be pretty fucking good, pretty tough. So for me, it's just this anxiety all the time. When I retired, I just kind of let that go. I'm like, Jesus Christ, get out of here.
But I want to get to retirement in a little bit. But going back, okay, if you are in the storm and you're taking those heavy shots, and then you go back and watch it back, and you see yourself taking the.
I never watched them.
Are you kidding me?
I never watched them. No, I never watched the fights.
Really?
Nope, couldn't do it. I was so critical of my performance, win or lose. It was actually my coaches preferred I didn't watch them. Because I go, what the fuck? Even 50-second knockout, I go, what in the world am I doing with my head here? What am I doing with here? I was so critical of my performance.
Right.
I never watched it. Never watched them.
So you've never seen yourself getting knocked out. I'm not going to put it on YouTube and say, hey, I'm going to make you watch this. I'm just saying, dude, when you're seeing something, say, well, I go back to one of your knockouts. I'm calling it an overhand right that you hit Mirko with.
Yeah.
It was just a right hand. It didn't look like an overhand right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was overhand
Dude,
right.
he goes down. His arm is...
He goes limp. I see, obviously I see on Instagram sometimes someone will post a Mirko thing or it's the anniversary when I knocked out Mirko, something like that. I don't really like to post that stuff. Even if I win or lose, I don't...
No, but when you see it, it's devastation. I mean...
I don't know that guy. When I see, then that Brendan Schaub knocked Mirko out, I'm like, who the hell is that, man? What the hell are you doing? It's so violent to me. Where I think a lot of guys would thrive in that. And even after that fight, and this just goes to show you, maybe I'm not a real fighter. I don't know. But after the fight, Mirko's all beat up. I'm beat up. And I remember he was my hero. I just remember hugging him almost in tears. Just like, what are we doing, man? He was my favorite.
So then what would the next day be like for you if you suffered all those heavy hands on the few occasions that you got KO'd?
That's where the pain sets in is, you obviously have some concussion syndromes where light hurts your eyes, you're throwing up. I'm sure you've had your concussions.
Just
right?
one or two.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So, I'd throw up, light, sensitive to light. I didn't want to go outside because I was embarrassed. People would see me, especially after a loss. And that's where if you like after a Mirko fight or after the Nogueira fight, you're hurting. Your body just it's tough to walk. After I fought Gonzaga, he hit me with a ton of leg kicks. I had to be in a wheelchair through the airport, two black eyes. I just didn't like the attention from that. It was embarrassing to me.
But was there any kind of, because you suffered just back-to-back losses on 2 occasions, but at any point, because the lows are so low and the time between fights is what it is, that there's some soul-searching in there where you're thinking, hey, man, dude, I got to find a way out.
For sure.
Is this what I want to do? Or I'm not really qualified to do a whole lot of it. Do you have a college degree?
Yeah. Double major, business sociology from University of Colorado.
Okay, so you're qualified to do something else, but now you have to take the wherewithal to go do it, and it's for your podcast stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Before you had the conversation with Joe.
I
want to talk about that, but what are you doing on the soul-searching part of this when you're like, hey, man, this shit ain't what I thought it was going to be?
Yeah, it never goes according to plan, does it? I just think, there wasn't a lot of other options. So my answer to that, my church was the gym. So I just go back to the gym, try and get better, hope for another matchup. You'd listen to your coach, you go, he just caught you, man. He just caught you. And you're like, yeah, you're right. I'll get better. And so but I didn't know any other options. I was in the thick of it. I was in Denver, Colorado. There's just not a whole lot of, other options for me. And, people go, well, you had a degree, you could have done something. You're restarting fresh. You ask any college student or, when you retire from wrestling or NFL, even if you have degrees, there's this lull period where you're trying to figure your shit out.
Right.
It's not like just because you have a degree, you get a job, especially this day and age. It's going to take a while, man. You're talking about a new venture.
Yeah.
And it's going to take years and years to kind of figure that out.
Don't want any dollar signs from you, but from start to finish, how was the increase or status quo of the payoffs, the money, or any outside endorsements? And then you left off in what, 2014?
Yeah.
Okay, and now with the money being what it is today, talk to me about the money part of making a living in the sport of MMA.
Yeah, so I was under the Ultimate Fighter contract, so it started off as 8-8, 10-10, 12-12. So when I say 8-8, 8 to show for the fight, 8 if you won the fight. And then after that, 10 to win the fight, 10 to show for the fight, 12 to show for the fight, 12 if you win. So if you lose, you're only getting 10 grand. Then after managers, taxes, you can figure that out. It's not a whole lot of money. It's time to get going.
Yeah.
I was fortunate because I came off the Ultimate Fighter, never met a camera I didn't like. So I got a lot of sponsorship. So I actually made more in sponsorship than I got paid for beating grown men in the octagon. So I was always big on sponsorships. And then, with Mirko, I'd get some, bonuses, 50 grand here, 50 grand there. I fought some of the biggest names in the world. You're talking Nogueira, Mirko Krokop, Gonzaga, Mitrione, Roy Nelson, the list, Ben Rothwell, the list goes on and on. Travis Brown. And I can say this, and this is just the nature of sport. This isn't a knock on Dana White at the UFC. When I retired, I had maybe $2,000 in the bank. I'm not living lavish. I'm not living the high life. I'm not Ric Flair up in here. I'm not Chris Rock. That's just me living normal, doing regular things that a 25-year-old, 27-year-old would do. I had about $2-3 grand in the bank.
Right.
And, my face is here, my face is there. And, I was making good money off sponsorship. Thank God for those sponsorships.
What does it take to get leverage in the UFC that you can say, hey, man, this is the normal, or this is the norm, but here's how it is now? And it has Conor McGregor done, or broken that.
Conor did it. You just have to be undeniable. When I say
and he's a special case. So let's eliminate him.
He's your outlier.
Okay, let's eliminate him.
You have to win.
Because, back in the day, I've told the story many times, but I always love telling it. I was sitting in a Jeep Grand Cherokee with Vince McMahon. We were about to go do a storyline type thing where I'm throwing a championship belt in the river. And we're in a truck together, and we're sitting at a gate, and it's locked. We're waiting for someone to unlock the gate to let us go do, where we need to get on the property. And it's very uncomfortable because you're riding with the promoter. I could imagine maybe if it's been the same with you've been riding with Dana White. You don't really know each other. Yeah. He's promoting, you're an up-and-comer. I was an up-and-comer starting to get a little hot. Yeah. We don't know each other. It's uncomfortable, right?
It's awkward.
And so there's a couple of things back and forth, but it ain't going nowhere. And we ain't going nowhere because there's a gate locked in front of us. And all of a sudden he just blurts out, he goes, Steve, as a promoter, you never want a talent to know what they're worth. Dead silence.
You're like, where do you go from there?
Where do you go?
Yeah,
I'll
guess
tell you
so,
where
man.
we went. You know what happened?
What?
He started up the Jeep Grand Cherokee and he ran through the gate and we went and did our gig. Awkward, right. Dude. It was awkward. But
he's right though.
Right there, the light went off in my head and I was in no position to, and never hold anybody up. But that was one of those things that I told you about a while ago with the guy getting the pop. Yeah. Hey man, I hope he gets over.
Yeah.
It was okay. Here it is.
It's a mental note,
and it isn't specific to pro wrestling or MMA, but in life, people want to pay you as little as they can for you to get the job done.
That's business.
It's up for you to navigate the system, learn the system, learn your worth, so that you can make as much money as you want in any given endeavor.
Correct.
So, learning the landscape in MMA back in the day before Conor broke through the ceiling and you stopping in 2014, what was it about your personality that never found a camera you didn't like?
Oh, man.
Always a ham, class clown?
Yeah, class clown, always the life of the party. And when I say life of the party, I wasn't a big drinker, big party, but I was always that goofy guy. In the locker rooms, I was always making people laugh, doing my thing. You know, I was friends with everybody.
Right.
You know, I wasn't in cliques. I was friends with, everyone was my friend. I could relate to everyone. I'd talk to everyone, check in on everyone, kind of take care of everyone. That's just my thing. With the UFC, you know, I was a guy who did very, very well outside the cage in sponsorships because I didn't meet a camera I didn't like, and, you know, looked the part. I could give some good promos. And then the UFC signed that Reebok deal, and they came in and went, you guys can't have any other sponsorships. So now we're going to pay you, I think it's $3,000, $5,000, depending how many fights you have in the UFC. And that's the new rule, and you have to wear Reebok. I'm not knocking Reebok. I'm not knocking whatever. Right. Maybe it was good for business, but what it did for me, it pushed me out. Yeah. Where there was just, you know, where I was making my living off that, and you good living at the time. That's how I was able to live my life. I'm like, well, if you take rid of that, and I just have to live off this, there's no way. There's just no way. So it's the perfect storm of whether it's you believe in the big man upstairs, someone just going, listen, bro, we can't give you any more signs. We're taking away your sponsorship money. You're not getting paid that much. You just lost a fight. What the hell else we got to do to get you to focus over here in entertainment? And that's what happened.
Man, I miss the days when guys were wearing different walkout shirts, the guys would roll down that little gimmick banner with all the different sponsors on it. And I could see, you know, who was getting paid by who and see the endorsements. And it's changed. Yeah, I got nothing against Reebok either, but it's just kind of when everybody wears the opposite contrasting, you know, trunks and stuff like that, it's like, come on, man. I like the individuality
Me too.
Back in because it felt more organic. I still know it's a shoot, but it just felt more organic. And I was like, yeah, I still dig it.
Can you imagine WWE if you guys had to everyone had to wear the same thing, and the way we figured out Stone Cold or The Rock is The Rock was in black and you were in red?
Stone Cold wouldn't fly in that. I mean, corporate, you know, and I wasn't corporate friendly to begin with. But that was part of the attraction. And now that it's so corporate, you know, oh, man.
I wasn't corporate either. I was like a super shitty Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I know you've told this story many times. Dude, you got so many great stories. I was listening to, you know, one of your podcasts with Joe again, the Kimbo Slice story. When the one dude started talking to all the
getting
Jack,
racist.
Kimbo came here. I know you've told that story before, so I'll leave it alone. It was priceless. So how long have you and Joe Rogan been friends? Because he was calling, and I've been watching forever. And Joe Rogan's one of the greatest commentators in the history of any sport. So he's magic to listen to. I know you guys got a great friendship. When did you guys actually become friends? Because he would have that come to Jesus meeting with you. When he really broke you down. I mean, not broke you down, but broke your career down.
Yeah, it broke me down.
You know,
you're being friendly, but
it was
broke
a heavy moment.
Yeah, heaviest moment.
Were you expecting that, or was he expecting that, or was that just happen like it did?
Yeah, I think, you know, Joe and I, he moved to Boulder. I mean, probably 10 years ago, and was training with my jiu-jitsu school. So we met there. And then when I first moved to LA, like 7 years ago, you know, he was friends with Brian Callen. Brian Callen and I are best friends. So we're just running the same circle, and we'd go to dinners. I'd share stories, and I'd have him and the rest of the table dying. And then, I did a jiu-jitsu match, Metamoris at the time, which is super high level jiu-jitsu. And we went to dinner after that, and then we just started to do podcasts, and man, just, you know, became really, really close friends. We had a lot more in common just than fighting. And he was like this big brother, always checking in on me, and I'd check in with him. And I talk to Joe every day now. Yeah. And he was just came this big brother, and you know, he has seen so much fighting. So his analyst of me, when he says it, obviously it carries a lot of weight. When he gave that talk at the podcast, it was unexpected, 100%. I didn't find it disrespectful, because I know where Joe's coming from, and if you know Joe's story, you can see why he's so black and white and kind of in your face about it. For him, that was a pure out of love, because he knows if he doesn't tell me like that, I'm probably going to keep going. He needs to hit me where it hurts for me to make a change. And he didn't really want to air that podcast. He was like, Jesus Christ, man, I just didn't know what else to do. And so him and Brian go, it was live, but we don't have to upload it. We can there's only maybe 20,000 people that heard it. We can just get rid of it. I went, no, let's release it. It's important. Let's release it. And, for me, that was a kind of a defining moment in my career, because that kind of put me on this path that I'm on now in entertainment through, stand up and, doing the work I do now for Showtime and my podcast, and, life changing, man. Life changing for the best. And I think a lot of people, Joe took a lot of backlash for that. And my family was very upset with Joe for that. And I think now when they see kind of the grand scheme of things, go, oh my God, Joe was right. He's kind of right. And he's actually kind of helping them. Like, look at Brendan now. So right. I think, in the end, Joe did the right thing. Granted, it was some harsh shit. And the reason I didn't say anything on that podcast, because if I opened my mouth, I would just start crying. So I just went kind of silent and took it.
But it's also when something like that happens, I mean, you have great respect for this guy because of the knowledge that he has. He's a friend of yours as well.
Correct.
He's also very knowledgeable.
Correct.
It wasn't like he was just some average Joe, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Talking, hey, man, maybe you ought to do this.
No, that wouldn't work. And Joe knows that.
Who loves it, does it, talks about it.
I have a lot of people that give me advice. I have a ton of people that want to give me advice, and it's one or out the other. And with Joe, when Joe talks or tells me, I listen, and we have this mutual respect, vice versa. And, he knows if he said that, he was serious. It's not like he was doing it to get ratings or anything. His show can't get any bigger. He was doing it out of a position of
driving
love.
home. What were you thinking?
I was crying. I was embarrassed. I didn't realize the magnitude of what was going on. To be honest, I knew my career was over, but the athlete in me went, man, let's prove Joe wrong. Let's cut to 205, prove Joe wrong, fight one more time just for Joe, just to prove him wrong and show him that he's not right. And so I started making this cut. I got down to about 218 pounds, and I woke up on a Wednesday and was like, what? It's starving myself. And I just looked in the mirror and went, what the hell are you doing, man? You don't want to do this. And I went back to the feeling I had in the locker room, the talk how I was done. I was done. I told my coach before I walked out that last fight against Trash Brown, I went, I don't want to do this anymore. And they went, cool, man, let's just get through this one. You have an obligation. We trained hard. Let's go out there and do that. We'll figure it out after. And I went, I know I say this before every fight. I'm serious this time, guys. This is my last one. And, it was just this perfect storm. And Joe did that. And, I'm in the podcast world. Now I'm in the comedy world. So it's just, it was the perfect storm in the perfect way.
What was the transition like going from being friggin' Joe athlete, jock mode, yeah, you got a business degree, but you're a fighter.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you ain't a fighter, and you got to land on your feet, and you did. So tell me about the transition.
That's scary too.
That's a whole, you're getting then taking off from Earth, going to a rocket ship and landing on a different Earth.
Yeah, and got to navigate through the world, but it's a world still filled with sharks. At professional sports, professional wrestling, like that's a world of sharks, and you better find your way or you get eaten alive. Entertainment's, no different. I'm not saying Harvey Weinstein jacked off him or anything like that, but I had to navigate through some sharks, my man. So
sage cries on a popsicle stick. What? And it's a serious thing. Not that it didn't happen to you, but it's such a serious subject. I'm glad somebody can finally laugh.
You gotta laugh at it, man.
God damn, everybody's coming out of the woodwork.
Everybody,
fucking crazy. It's a crazy town, man. Shit's been going on since the 1900s, and all of a sudden now it's in an issue at 17. Not to make light of it.
Oh, you got to, man. You got to, Steve.
Jesus.
Yeah, but
so when did you and Brian? Let's just wrap it up because I know you got some shit. You got to go to the studio.
Bro. I'm actually headed to Hollywood for an audition.
No pressure on the audition. It's not a private room, is it?
Hopefully there's no potted plants. Oh, man.
This part requires nudity.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So is it an acting part in the movie?
No, I don't do a lot of movies. I've had some offers.
Maybe trying to knock down some more doors.
Yeah.
Brendan's got tears in his eyes over here.
Yeah, I love making you laugh.
Your podcast career's over.
Yeah.
What kind of part is it?
Oh, man.
Can you talk about it at all?
Yeah, a little bit. So I was...
Sorry, man. Sorry, I just got a brand new computer. I spilled some water on. It might have been whiskey. And I just sprayed water on my brand new computer. So, what kind of friggin' part is it?
I don't know what's going on. Oh, fuck. I just ruined this podcast.
Regain your composure,
I
sir.
apologize,
Regain
sir.
your composure.
I'm trying, man. It's actually... the thing I'm going for now is I've been working with E for a while. It's this TV stuff. I'm sorry, too, man. We might have to wrap this up.
Okay.
I fucked this up with the Harvey Weinstein stuff.
Hey, well, where's the fighter and the kid going next? Are you guys continuing to tour the United States or the world? You went over to Australia. What's next?
Yeah, I've been all over. I'm in. I'm doing my own show, Brendan SCHAUB Live. I'm in Ontario, Inland Empire, Ontario Improv. I'm in Buffalo.
If you're as funny as the crowd as you are on the table, your lights out. And get a ticket while you can, folks.
I'm in Buffalo, the 14th to the 16th, Helium, December 14th, 16th. I'll see you guys there.
Hey, last question. I was sitting here at my house waiting for you to roll up, and we changed the time because you got your audition, some other stuff.
Yes, sir.
And I heard the rumble of a sports exhaust. I was like, Jesus Christ. I don't know what Brendan drives, but I'm sure that's him.
Yeah.
So sure enough. So you're a car guy?
Yeah, I'm a big car guy. Big Porsche guy. I've had all sorts of cars, but Porsche, man, just I've never, it's my favorite car I've ever driven. I had one before, sold it, bought a Bentley Super Sport, which is a, fast car. And I just was constantly thinking about Porsche. So now I'm back with a Porsche. It's the new GTS. It's lava orange. You can't miss me. But it has like the old school vintage.
I mean, it had a great exhaust when it showed up, and then I saw the color of it. I said, man, he's making a statement here.
Yeah, right. Skinny
I got a
jeans
Bronco and a
Porsche.
Ford Focus on the car covers, and you drive it up in a GTS.
Ford Focus?
Oh, it's a long
God
story,
damn
man.
it, Steve.
Bought it from my mother-in-law, trying to save her some grief.
Okay.
Dropped $2,000 on brakes and an engine mount. I'm upside down on the Ford Focus.
But you're not driving that thing.
Dude, no, okay. Technically no, but yes. We use it to take a dog to the vet because it's easy for them to get into.
Fine.
Normally when I drive it, I'm a global icon and a national treasure, but I keep it on I keep it real, right?
Yeah.
I got the Ford Bronco, but I lease the Range Rover.
None of your fans want to see you roll up in a Ford Focus.
Dude,
I'll say that right now.
I know. It's got air conditioning. Actually, it's a fun car to drive. It's front wheel drive. But anyway, I was going to the vet a couple of months ago. And normally when I'm driving it, I got my camouflage baseball cap on and my sunglasses. I had forgotten both of them. And so normally I can chill out, dude, because I'm not like an over-the-top figure, bald head goatee. I can blend in pretty good, right? But I didn't have my hat and my glasses on. And so like when I was at the stoplights, normally at the stoplights you can check your timeline or whatever, or you can kind of look side by side because everybody checks somebody out, right? Because these days people have these vapors and they're blowing shit out of smoke like a chimney or whatever. So you just kind of look side to side. Hey, you're not really waving at people, but you're looking at people. Yeah. Not that day. When I didn't have my cover, my camo hat, my sunglasses, I was not going to let anybody know that Stone Cold Steve Austin driving his fucking Ford Focus down the damn boulevard.
That would bum me out.
Oh man, but it's a great little car, and turns out it's metallic P. It's a neat little car. I've been trying to sell it, but I'm upside down on it.
I'm sure someone will buy it.
Someone
sign it.
I ought to donate to somebody. But going back to Porsches before you roll out of here, back in I was going through my car phase in WWF. I was big into Mercedes. The SL 500s, S55s, stuff like that. And then got into when Porsche first came out with the Cayenne. I had one, and then had two of them. And then I got into the Porsches, had a 911, and then, they came out with the twin turbo.
Yes, sir.
And I think I had the 2001 model, whatever it was, silver 5-speed. It was like, as soon as I saw the twin turbo or drove my buddies, I figured I had to have one. And so I got the twin turbo. And then the thing I love about Porsche is they're bulletproof. I mean, you can drive the shit out of them every single day, and they just keep going.
Correct.
Not like a Ferrari, with all due respect. Ferrari, a whole different animal.
I agree.
So it's a driver. But it's like, finally, I decided to sell. I sold that 911 so I could get into the SUV because I got tired of getting up off the ground. My knees.
I know.
Then I had a couple of Z06 Corvettes. But it's almost like the 911 regular aspirated motor rather than a twin turbo, just because you could wind it out a little bit more. That twin turbo was super fast and it was amazing. I'd almost prefer just the normal.
Me too.
To the twin.
Me too.
To the turbo.
Yeah, I prefer and that's a naturally aspirated inline 6 GTS. Where now the newer, that's why I got this one, because the newer ones, all Porsches are turbos now. To me, I feel like there's a lag. They're not as fun.
Right.
There's a lag. There's something like that.
Yeah. And I'm mad because I sold that thing, because I'll never, I'm not going to drop a coin to get another one now. I lease stuff and I have that. Yeah, I got my shit out there, my pickup truck.
Sure.
Someone tried to steal my pickup truck from in front of my house the other day.
God damn.
It's in the shop right now. A 2003 Chevy pickup. Someone's trying to steal it.
Did they know it was yours though?
Huh? Yeah, I guess not. Well, I mean, fuck.
Or they might.
But anyway. So I don't know. I'll never get another one. But I always told myself, Steve, if you just kept that damn thing, you put it in the corner of your garage, because I love driving it. But if I just walked by it and saw it, it made me feel good.
I know. It's something about it, like driving into Hollywood. If I'm in traffic, I don't mind if I'm in that thing. It's all perspective.
Here's the thing. Have you ever gotten into the SUVs, though? Because after I got into the SUVs and my pickup trucks, being here in LA traffic, to go back down to a car, you're back at license plate and bumper exhaust level. I like the view, and I'm not jacked up because, if you go big on the suspension systems, first of all, you don't need it. And you can't use underground parking.
Nope. Yeah.
And you can't park none of that shit and into the parking spots.
Especially
because
in LA.
LA is built for a midsize and compact car.
Correct. No, I have a Cayenne. My girl drives a Cayenne for the kiddo. So I drive the Cayenne too, but there's something about, if I'm going to the valley, going down PCH in that GTS, man, you heard the exhaust. There's nothing like it.
Dude, are you one of them guys that's zipping in and out of traffic?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Dude, I watch people, when I get on
that drives me crazy.
Come back from Thousand Oaks, and my mother-in-law, and man, just people just come ripping by.
No, I'm not that guy. I did have a, you know what a slingshot is? Yeah, it's like the two wheels on the front, one in the back. The company, Polaris gave me one for like 3 or 4 months, and I was zipping all over the town and that thing. It was fun. But I gave it back because the back end's so light, and I like did basically wheeled out on the 405 and found myself facing traffic. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, man, we're gonna have to give this thing back.
Hey man, here's my last story for you, and because I know you got to go, but based on the little 3-wheel accident, a long time ago, 4 guys in the WWF were going to get West Coast choppers built, and I'm a dirt bike guy, 4-wheeler, UTVs, stuff like that.
Heck yeah.
And one of the guys dropped out. And so Big Show comes up to me and goes, hey, Steve, man, so-and-so dropped out. West Coast Chopper's going to give us a deal on these choppers. You want to get one? I said, what are they going to cost? He told me. I said, all right, I'm in. Not being a real street bike guy, but I'll get one because it's going to be a bargain. Shit, 2 years later, I'm living in Malibu and right off PCH, off Canaan. And 2 years later, here comes a truck. That's how long it take to build a some bitch. Badass, black gas tank, metal flame, skull. It was just badass.
They were so big, especially.
It was awesome.
They were the
best.
best.
From here to that front door.
Jesus.
So anyway, they leave. I start that sumbitch up without a helmet. Man, I get out on PCH, drive down about 3 miles, cut a long-ass U-turn because of that front fork, drove it back, took a left on Canaan, up into my driveway. My wife comes outside. She goes, well, what do you think? I said, it's for sale.
Just not.
She goes, what? What do you do? What do you mean? And I just bought my ranch in Texas. I told her, it's my exact words. I said, there's a lot of things that are going to happen to me, but getting smoked on the PCH by a car on a West Coast Choppers.
Correct.
Chopper ain't going to be one of them.
I ain't going out like that.
And so, and this was another thing where I ended up selling the chopper. I made $10,000 and bought a big ass Kubota 4-wheel drive tractor from a ranch. But what I wish I would have done was kept it just for
appreciate the value.
Yeah, like a museum piece.
Yeah.
Because I'll never get another one, but I could have kept it and it would have been, West Coast Choppers, whatever, original. But I sold that son of a bitch.
Yeah, I don't want to go out like that. I don't want to die on a 3. You imagine telling my kid, how'd your dad die? He was on a 3-wheel machine on the PCH.
No, it gets better than this. After having a great career in the octagon, making a successful transition into the podcast, broadcast world, and Showtime, and all this other cool shit, he decided that this 3-wheel would be a good idea, and he got smoked.
He got smoked, yeah. Oh, he's a dumbass.
Yeah, after he left a world that he was good in, got to a world he was great in, then he fucked it all up. Anyway, we'll stop there. Dude, it was great seeing you. I appreciate you coming over here to the house. Social media, website, whatever. Where can people find you?
Yeah, it's just at Brendan SCHAUB on all social media. And then for my comedy tickets, all my shows, it's the website's tfatk.com, tfatk.com.
Hey, man, when are you going to be around L.A. local doing this? I'm going to come by and stop.
I'm at the Comedy Store all the time, and then December 5th, the Firing Kids Live there. Let me know.
I will.
I'll text you.
Are you keeping it kind of family friendly on your shows? You go blue? What do you do?
I mean, it's comedy. It's a Comedy Store. So there's some dick jokes, stuff like that.
All right.
I do my thing, man. You'll laugh. I got a wrestling bit on there.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll laugh.
Thank you for stopping by. It's good talking to you.
You're the best, man.
Hey everybody, it's Chad Prather here, the guy that's unapologetically Southern on YouTube. Join me every Thursday for the Chad Prather Show exclusively here on Podcast One. I'm bringing armchair philosophy and observational humor to what's going on in the world. As guests help me sort it all out. Nothing is off limits on the Chad Prather Show. Again, every Thursday, it's new episodes of the Chad Prather Show right here on Podcast One. Download and listen to new episodes exclusively on PodcastOne.com, the new Podcast One app, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
All right, everybody, give me the go home cue. So I'm going to wrap up this podcast and ride off in the sunset, and that's exactly what the fuck I'm going to do. Brendan SCHAUB, my guest, I want to say thank you for coming by 317 Gimmick Street. I had a blast talking with you. If you ever want to talk again, or when you ever want to talk again, let me know, and we will hook it up. Hey, folks, I ain't got no plugs. I ain't got nothing for you today. All I got for you is one more Happy Thanksgiving. Safe travels to everybody. Be friendly out on the road. Callie, don't chew my hat up. She's as bad as Hershey. If she is half the dog that Hershey is, she's going to be a motherfucker. I love this dog already, my black lab. Hey, man, y'all travel safe. Seriously, be safe out there and have a good time and be responsible. No spots, no plugs. A big thank you to my sponsors. They allow me to do this show twice a week for free because of them and their support. And thank you for downloading and listening. Folks, until next time, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of Steve Austin Unleashed every Thursday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.